Hey everybody, welcome to episode 198 of Is This Thing Working? How you doing, Denise?
I'm awesome. It is Friday, and we got a long show for you today here. Man, and it's going to be a long weekend too. Are you excited about the long weekend?
I'm ready for a long weekend. I am.
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend, end of summer officially. You know, so everybody's back to school. Everybody's back to work. Vacations are over. This is the last weekend, so y'all have a great weekend. We're going to.
Exactly. And so we want to state, man, that these are our opinions and our assertions. And we always do this every day. We make sure that we let you know that these are our opinions and our assertions. And we want to let you know that we fully support and endorse this campaign ad that was released by RFK Jr. It's hilarious. But like we said, if you listen to it, you'll endorse every word of it too.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
And if you agree with us and that video, make sure you tell your friends and share the show.
And if you don't agree with us or this video, hey man, you tell your friends and you share the show. Why? Because maybe they'll open their eyes to see what's actually going on, just like the rest of us.
Maybe they'll become independent thinkers, you know.
Exactly.
Also, stump that like button and please follow or subscribe wherever you see the name Is This Thing Working? And our podcast is available for download on all platforms like Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcast.
Also, download the Rumble app so you can follow the show and you will receive an instant notification when we go live every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, here we go. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Welcome. Yep.
Yep.
Thank God it's Friday. Here we go.
We do want to say this before we get into the weeds of the show. On Monday, on Labor Day, we will be having a show, but it will be an afternoon, late afternoon, about 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Central Standard Time. So we're excited about that. We're slowly thinking about changing our times, and we're doing tests. So please tune in on Monday at 5 live on Rumble.
All right. So what's the first thing we always do? Each and every day, we have to talk about our man, Steve Bannon, who has been a political prisoner now 59 days.
It's outrageous. But what does he always ask?
What's your task? What's your purpose?
And we want you to be informed and engaged.
Hey, man, and we also want to ask you, keep Steve in your prayers, man, because he's trying to get released from federal prison.
Yeah, from the National Pulse this morning, I was pleasantly surprised that Steve Bannon's lawyers are asking for early release. Here's how it could work. He says, William Upton wrote, the attorney for former White House chief strategist and War Room host Stephen K. Bannon has filed a motion asking the U.S. District Court to reimpose bail pending appeal or to impose supervised release. In the motion, R. Trent McCotter, a partner with Boyden Gray PLLC, argues that every order short of a final decree is subject to reopening at the discretion of the district judge.
Yeah, it goes on to say that McCotter contends that the district court should reimpose bail or supervised release as new developments in Bannon's suggest a grant or at least substantial dissent from denial of the appeal before the D.C. Circuit Court is likely. Additionally, the motion notes Circuit Court Judge Justin R. Walker has reversed course on the panel's original May 10th decision and issued a full dissent instead of joining the ruling in part. So,
wow. And it goes on to say here, this change in opinion by Judge Walker, McCotter insists, represents a substantial legal issue on appeal for purposes of bail. Additionally, McCotter notes that the July 15th appeal filed by Bannon saw the D.C. Circuit ask the Biden-Harris Department of Justice, their DOJ, to file a response as to the meaning of willfully.
And I think this was even a topic that was brought up about in the immunity hearings at the Supreme Court. I think things like this were brought up about that too, weren't they?
Yeah, like willfully, like using certain words to charge somebody with a crime that really
isn't a crime. Exactly.
And that is what is happening with Steve Bannon. So everyone keep him in your prayers. We're hoping this works. Spread this far and wide. We really need the information pushed out. Thank you very much for all of that.
Also, and don't forget the call to action, man. Don't forget our call to action, which is always call your Congress, call your senators, call your House. The numbers are there. Call them, because when they come back in session, the issue of the illegitimate J6 committee has got to be rectified, man.
100%. And also, call them about the SAVE Act. It's working. Your calls are working. All of a sudden, Speaker Johnson is on board with bringing this bill to the floor to put into the CR when they come back on the 9th. So hopefully, cross your fingers, we'll get something done about our elections. And before we move on, let's pay a little bills and use the promo code ITTW for Cornbread Hemp.
We would like to welcome our new sponsor to Is This Thing Working? So help us welcome Cornbread Hemp. Their mission is to draw on Kentucky's 250-year legacy of growing hemp, as well as the state's unique climate and soil, to manufacture the highest quality cannabis products available in America. They proudly offer full-spectrum, USDA organic CBD products with up to 2 milligrams of THC per serving. Their plants are grown in what's known as the Bluegrass Basin, which produces the highest quality hemp alongside the best bourbon and fastest racehorses. Cornbread Hemp is one of the very few, if not only, CBD brands in America who exclusively use the hemp flower to create their CBD extract, called Flower Only CBD, and they want the world to know.
Please check out Cornbread Hemp by going to cornbreadhemp.com right now for a 30% off your initial purchase of any products on the website. Again, go to cornbreadhemp.com and use promo code ITTW for this special offer. Remember, you get 30% off, promo code ITTW. Thank you for supporting our sponsors. Please click that link below and make sure you use that promo code ITTW. And last night, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz had their first interview on CNN with Dana Bash.
Did they really, though? You know, I mean,
was it an interview?
Yeah, I mean, it was only 18 minutes, and
yes,
highly edited.
Very much so, you can tell. And it was, of course, her first interview since she became the Democrat nominee, or since she forced her way in there, or since they forced Biden out. Man, that's just so weird. But the softball interview, everyone was watching. You know, it was all over the place, and so were we. We're going to play clips, and we're going to discuss them. But first, we want a flashback. We have a flashback video of Kamala Harris. Listen to what she had to say. When was this? In 2019.
I guess the question about you I know you wrote to Twitter and the CEO, Jack Dorsey, and asked him to take away the president's Twitter handle, his account. How is that not a violation of free speech? I mean, the president has the same rights that you have, that I have, and how would that not just be a slippery slope where they have to ban, half of the people on Twitter?
I've heard that argument, but here's the thing, Jake. First of all, a corporation, which is what Twitter is, it does not have it has obligations, and in this case, Twitter has terms of use policy. And their terms of use dictate who receives the privilege of speaking on that platform and who does not. And Donald Trump has clearly violated the terms of use, and there should be a consequence for that. Not to mention the fact that he has used his platform, being the President of the United States, in a way that has been about inciting fear and potentially inciting harm against a witness to what might be a crime against our country and our democracy. And for that reason, I do believe that it's clear that he has violated the terms of use, and I'm asking that Twitter does what it has done in previous occasions, which is to revoke someone's privilege because they've not lived up to the advantages of the privilege.
Wow, this goes right along with what Zuckerberg said. They keep coming out, well, Donald Trump was actually president at the time. But, when you read Zuckerberg's letter, it says in there the Biden-Harris. It didn't say that they were in the White House at the time. And at the time that she is saying this, she's a presidential candidate trying to shut up the opposition.
Exactly.
That's exactly what she was doing.
Exactly, and that's what I kept thinking as I'm listening to her. I'm thinking to myself, who in the hell are you to think that you can just trample on somebody else's First Amendment right? And who in the hell are you to think that you can call that corporation and demand that they do something like this, man?
And how does she know that he broke any terms of service?
Right, and regardless of if he did or if he didn't, to me, the government overreach is the issue here, man. The big, huge government how in the hell do you think? Yeah.
And, if a Republican come out and said that about a Democrat, I know you don't like the whataboutism. The whataboutism. But, the differences are enormous to me.
Yeah. In
the way they treat Democrats over Republicans, because he just sat there and just let her say all that, didn't like talk, ask any other questions or any of that. I think the whole thing was disgusting, and that's kind of where it started. It really did, the censorship. So we have to remember that. And on CNN yesterday, Kamala Harris and Dana Bash had this interview. And the thing that caught me as we're fixing to go through all these clips is it's the Tim Walz interview. And on this first clips, it says Walz on day one priority in a Harris administration. But I have yet to see him say anything. So it's all Kamala Harris. But he's in the interview somehow. But on the first one we have here, listen to what they had to say about Kamala's day one priority.
But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it. I know it.
which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging.
Dealing like an issue with price fixing is what you're trying to say. And another thing that she lied about was the inflation. You know, and I know this 3% number doesn't include certain things. And one of the things it doesn't include is groceries.
I know.
Yeah.
And housing.
And housing.
And electric.
Yes.
And insurance.
Yes.
All the things that really matter to the American people.
Exactly.
And what got me about this, though, is she attempts to blame President Trump for the economic woes of her own administration, despite the fact that most Americans want the Trump economy back. And they do want that. And, you know, another lie I just want to point out is the economy was not crashing when President Trump left office.
No, it wasn't. It was on the rebound.
It was on the rebound, and they walked right in there and cut out our Keystone Pipeline. Immediately, it went up.
Immediately.
Then they caused 3 different wars.
But you know what else she said? She said she ain't got no regrets about the last 4 years. I kid you not. That's what she said.
President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career.
You know why it's one of the greatest honors of your career? Because you didn't have to do a damn thing. You know,
no, and the worst vice president in history
and what
hid.
Exactly. And she deflected completely from what Dana asked her. Dana was asking her, do you have regrets that you've lied to the American people about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities?
Yes.
That's what she asked.
So she said, she said nothing. It was word salad, you know, the same thing that she always does and that most Democrats do. They just give you a word salad that sounds pretty.
But in a way, she was telling the truth. She was telling the truth because she doesn't have any regrets that she lied to you, because what did it do for her? It achieved her goal. You
Yes.
See what I mean with these people? I hate them, man.
I know. I agree with you 100%. And then Dana Bass, she goes on and she asks her, you've been vice president for 3.5 years. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already? Listen to this clip of Kamala Harris here.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's...
And every bit of that is a lie. Once again. And I have a fact check here. for the insulin.
I knew you would.
Yeah, President Trump announced an executive order in May of 2020 capping the cost of insulin at $35. One of Biden's first acts as president was repealing this executive order so that he could take credit for it. Now, he did that with the insulin, but guess what they also did? They did that with manufacturing. President Trump brought those jobs back to America, and they are once again taking credit for that. But at the same time, they're saying their Bidenomics is all perfect and everything's going down. Well, I woke up this morning to the Dollar General shares dropped 26%, marking the steepest decline in its history. The CEO says core customers are financially constrained. This is at the dollar store.
Yeah, our economy and our inflation is so high and our economy is so bad that people can't afford the dollar store, man.
No, I go to the dollar store, I get certain things like dog food and all that kind of stuff, and it's really the same price as going to the grocery store next door.
You might save a quarter or 50 cents.
That's it.
You might. And another thing that she said that and I hear this and it just makes my blood boil, because the other outrageous claim that she made was by raising a child tax credit, she lifted children out of poverty. Explain to me how $1,000 done that. Please, explain that to me. Most families can spend $1,000 in a week
for groceries. If you're like trying to like spend at like the Dollar Tree and stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is, our daughter, she's been struggling a lot. She's a single mom, and that's where she goes now, to the Dollar Tree to buy, groceries and stuff, buy little things that's for her kids to eat. And it's so discouraging for them. They remember 4 years ago what it was like when they could just go out to Walmart or to the local grocery store and buy groceries and not have to struggle so much. So this is a really big issue for Americans right now, for young Americans, for millennials and Gen Zs. They see the difference in the prices right now.
That is exactly
right. And
right.
it is terrifying for them every single day to feed their children. And the fact that she says that she claims all Americans are doing great, that is not true. That is false on its face.
Okay. Let's keep going with the lies, because these are the economy lies that she has now. We've seen what she's done. She has no regret about lying to you about Joe Biden's cognitive ability. She has no problem lying to you about the cap on insulin. She has no problem lying to you about the inflation rates. She has no problem lying to you about all the good things that they say that they have done for you. They hadn't done shit for you except hurt you. They've hurt the poor people. They've hurt the middle class. I'm telling you, what's the second biggest issue that she will lie about? And what is the second biggest issue in this country that is causing probably a 50% or more of our problems is illegal immigration and the invasion of our damn country with these people like these Venezuelan gangs that are in Aurora, Colorado, overtaking apartment buildings. I got my own opinion on that, and that's a whole nother road.
Yeah, and it's not just happening in Colorado. It's happening in other cities. It's happening in Arizona.
Everywhere. And we pointed that out yesterday. Yeah.
Yes, we did. And we have found more and more places, and we'll be discussing more of that next week. We're really going to focus on the border next week. But listen to Kamala Harris claim that she's providing over a record number of illegal border crossings actually resulted in a number of benefits. Listen.
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Why?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask
about... Not only push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Just one other question.
Plenty of fact checking. I got a question before you do your fact checking because I know you're ready. I know you're ready. I know you're ready. But here she tried to claim that the border crossings have actually decreased since they started this. When did you start this? Yesterday? Because we ain't seen none of that. And her explanation for the fentanyl that's coming in across the border. Where are these fentanyl arrests? Are you taking care of the people that are dealing the fentanyl? No, because you never, ever hear of somebody being busted for fentanyl.
I know, but they talk about it all the time. Like, for example, like on Fox News all the time, people are dying from fentanyl. Well, where is that happening? Please tell me where it's happening. I know you're showing me pills every time on the news and all that kind of stuff. Where is it?
You know where it's coming from. Why aren't you arresting those people?
Why aren't you?
Is fentanyl, are you trying to, anyway.
Well, I will fact check this because, I can't stand the lies. But I asked, did Donald Trump kill the bipartisan border bill? And guess what? The answer is Donald Trump did not directly kill the bipartisan border bill, but his influence and public statements against the bill played a significant role in its failure. And then they give a breakdown. Now, what I wanted to read from this is, following Trump's opposition, Senate Republicans, despite initial negotiations and some support, which she keeps calling bipartisan because there was some support, moved to effectively kill the bill. This shift was evident when Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and other Republicans indicated they would not support the bill, leading to its failure to reach the necessary 60 votes for procedural advancement. So her all of a sudden coming out saying this is a bipartisan bill is false.
Yep.
And I do want to say this before we move on to another great clip from Kamala Harris, is that so far in the clips I've re-listened to, 3 times out of 4 has she blamed President Trump for everything. So we're going to go back right now and think about the TDS video that we listened to at the beginning of the show and say right now that Kamala Harris has TDS.
Right.
She can't come up with her own policies because have you heard of a policy?
Have not.
Not one. And one thing that she continues to say over and over, even though she's trying to change her policies and act like she's MAGA all of a sudden, like she's going to make America great again by building a wall, doing tax for tips, stealing everything from President Trump and blaming him at the same time. But in this next clip, she says, my values have not changed. Listen to her.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Listen to what she said. My values have not changed. I still believe in climate change. I still believe in the green energy hoax. All of these things, regardless of what I'm out here campaigning on and trying to bullshit you and pull the wool over your eyes about, my values haven't changed, have they?
No.
That's what she's telling you. That's why the TDS has got to be eradicated in our lifetime, because people have got to get back to common sense and critical thinking.
Yes, they do. And President Trump comes out and he tells you straight up, Kamala's support for ending cash bail for violent criminals, Kamala's fundraising for the Minnesota Freedom Fund, Kamala's tie-breaking vote for the American Rescue Plan, which economists say fueled the inflation.
Yeah, her support for defunding the police. We've all known that for quite a long time. Her comments about policing to slavery. Her repeated praise of Bidenomics, which we know, and we're witnesses, every living person in this country that has been here for 3.5 years knows there ain't nothing to be praised about Bidenomics. Her support for the Medicare for All, which is a social takeover of our healthcare system, that's her support.
Yes, it is. Her saying we need to start from scratch with ICE and comparing ICE with officers to the KKK. And then her support for reparations. I mean, she tells you exactly who she is. Now, coming out and trying to find a moderate out there or two that go, oh, I like her. She's a woman and she's sweet and she's nice. And,
those are the dumb voters.
And she lies.
Those are the dumb voters.
But President Trump gives interviews daily. He was in La Crosse, Wisconsin at a town hall last night with Tulsi Gabbard. And it was long and involved, and he talked to the people in the audience, and it was really cool. And also, he was at a rally in Michigan yesterday. So make sure you please follow President Trump on Truth Social and X for all his events and press releases and press conferences, as well as his important policies that are common sense and geared to help you. And we're going to close with this one last video of the soon-to-be Vice President J.D. Vance.
This was him on Fox and Friends this morning.
Yeah, the final point that I just make about how she was trying to explain her changed perspectives is, if you actually watched what she was saying, the way that she was saying it, it's clear that she doesn't have very strong convictions. I actually, even though I'm running against her, I felt a little bad for her because it was clear that she wasn't totally sure-footed and she didn't totally know why she was saying the things that she was saying. She's been coached to pretend to be a moderate. Unfortunately, guys, she's governed as a San Francisco liberal, and because of it, Americans are poorer, the world is more chaotic, and our border is wide open. We've got to take this country in a new direction, which is why we've got to elect Donald Trump.
Remember, folks, she said it. Take her at her word. Her values have not changed.
Is this thing working?
Rise up. Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
And we'll see you next time.
We're out.